Hello everyone, my name is Adeleke Taiwo. I am a clinical psychologist from Arogi Trauma Care Foundation, and this is Health Her on Galaxy TV. Today I want to discuss with you an interesting topic. We are looking at post-traumatic stress disorder in children exposed to domestic violence. Post-traumatic stress disorder generally is a condition that occurs when someone experiences or witnesses a traumatic event. Now, in children, post-traumatic stress disorder can occur when they are continually and repeatedly exposed to domestic violence. Now, in this instance, they are not necessarily the victims of the physical or the emotional assaults that happen in domestic violence, but because the children are witnesses to it, so many times they can experience post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is something that people do not really pay attention to. You just think that when the parents have their challenges or their issues, and after they've settled, everything continues as usual. But the children are people who experience the impact of this violence emotionally. And if it is something that continues on a regular basis, then the children gets re-traumatized all the time. So it's important for us to look at these issues. So when a child grows in a home where there is continuous violence between the couples, what is going to be the things that the child would experience? One, it's going to be something called re-experiencing. It is a cognitive situation or a cognitive symptom. What that means is that that child will always remember the violence that he witnesses, and it will continue to replay in that child's mind. And it can come up in form of symptoms like nightmares, like flashbacks, or the child can have memories that are full of this kind of experience. And you know, when you see a child that plays, and when that child is playing, the child takes one toy and another toy and maybe starts clashing them together, starts displaying as if there's a fight between those toys. It can be a way that the child is actually re-experiencing what he witnesses regularly, and it can be a symptom of post-traumatic disorder. And when you see that a child avoidant behavior, it can be a symptom that that child, due to the domestic violence that he has been experiencing, is now displaying symptoms of PTSD. So the child avoids situations, social situations, or the child goes numb, becomes very quiet and withdrawn. And when the child is exposed to situations that represent or has similarities with what he experiences at home, the child now becomes very numb and very avoidant. Let's say there are loud voices or some people making noises and shouting. The child becomes very scared and goes numb. The child may show loss of interest in things that are going on around. The child may also become detached from other children and adults, and it can be a result of repeated exposure to domestic violence. I also want to say that a symptom that you can look out for in a child that is exposed to domestic violence is something called hyperarousal. The child becomes startled, or the child cannot sleep because it's very aroused and alert all the time. Hyperarousal can also be aggression. Any provocation or disturbance, the child becomes very aggressive, or the child becomes very irritable. You see, this kind of behaviors can be symptoms that the child is struggling with post-traumatic stress disorders from what he has witnessed in the family. Another thing that can occur when a child is continually exposed to domestic violence at home is emotional development problems. And this can be something like the child finds it hard to form very positive emotions. The child finds it hard to smile at people, finds it hard to maintain social connection, and it can also be in areas of development such as delayed language. If a child who's like 3 is exposed to domestic violence, the person may not find the right words to express herself, and it can continue and affect the child's language development. Learning can also be affected. Concentration can be affected. The child can become distracted all the time. And also, there can be emotional issues like anxiety, like depression, like feeling guilty. The child can have all these struggles because of what he's going through. And I also want to add that there can be academic difficulties. Some children that are old enough may start avoiding school because when they go to school, it shows that there's problem. Also, the child may have, like I mentioned before, concentration problem. There can be behavioral issues. When the child starts to grow, delinquency is one of the things that can happen. Engages in fights because the child has been exposed to a lot of violence and aggression at home. So the child thinks it's a normal thing. So a cycle of violence is created. That child may find it easy to express his needs via aggression, fighting with other people, engaging in quarrels, and such things. Also, there can be emotional issues, like I said before. Children can experience depression, and exposure to domestic violence is one of the things that can cause depression in children. Children can also become very angry and irritable because of what they have been experiencing. So for children who are going through this kind of experiences, who have been exposed to domestic violence at home, what can they do? One of the best things to do is to take them to therapy. When such children are exposed to therapy, and therapies of different form, can be family therapy, can be play therapy, can even be what we call cognitive behavior therapy, trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy. That child will start learning that the world can actually be a different place, the home can be a different place, and the child will be helped. Support needs to be given to such children at home, in school, you see, and the parents too who are exposing this child need to go for therapy too. They need counseling, they need help, so that when they learn how to communicate and deal with each other, they reduce the chances of exposing the child to domestic violence. So I would like to say that every child deserves care, deserves love, and deserves the warmth that they can get instead of exposure to violence. So this has been Health Hour on Galaxy TV, and once again, my name is Adeleke Taiwo, and I'm a clinical psychologist from Arogi Trauma Care Foundation. So if you know a child who has been exposed to domestic violence, or you know some parents who may actually benefit from therapy because they are always engaged in violence or aggression or so, you can call our toll-free line on 080-000-100020, and that's where you can get help. I will be happy to see you on this program next time. Thank you so much.